Hi everyone, Pam Gregory, astrologer. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the first half of September and the new moon that we have coming up in Virgo on the 6th and the 7th, depending on where in the world you live. Now, just before I get to the astrology, I've got some housekeeping, some admin things I'd like to cover. The first is there's a lady called Pamela Gregory. By the way, I never call myself Pamela, ever. I'm pamgregory.com in everything I do, Pam Gregory. Anyway, this lady is called Pamela Gregory, and she runs a beautiful practice called Forgiveness Healing for Humanity. And on the website, it's clear that she runs client consultations, and a lot of people have been writing to her thinking she's me, thinking she's an astrologer. And she's very graciously and very kindly written back to all these people and said she's not an astrologer, she's not me, but she wrote to me and said, look, this has taken quite a bit of time. Can you help? So she is not me, she's not an astrologer. Her domain name is PamelaGregory.com. Mine is PamGregory.com. So just, I'd like to ease her burdens a little. Linked to that, I'm not able to offer any more client consultations this year. I've got a notice on my website. I'm fully booked for the year, including weekends, and still people are writing to me a lot and saying, can you make an exception? Well, only if I learn not to sleep. So I can't take any more on. People are writing and saying, am I offering them next year? I don't know. I may retire from client work completely. I'll have to see how things are, how the world is when I get there. So it will all be on the website. And with regard to the website is being upgraded and redesigned completely. This will take 2 months. I can't rush that. It's down to the website, guys, so this won't be done till October. But I've had to make some very rapid and radical changes in how I work. And so I've stopped the subscription newsletter at the end of July. So for people writing to me about that, it stopped, and it will be appearing on my website roughly at the end of each month. I don't want to be as on the button on the last day of each month as I have been in the past. If it falls on a weekend, the website guys aren't there. So I want more flexibility with that, but it will appear there. Be aware the website will be running slowly until it gets its upgrade. So again, I'm doing all I can behind the scenes. So, and don't worry about the radical and rapid changes in my work. I'm not ill. I'm very, very well. I'm just a little bit busy, and there's a lot going on. So I know you'll be very understanding about that. Okay, now let's get to the astrology. Over the next few months, at the 3D level, the things are going to be very volatile and bumpy because we are going through a down to breakthrough phase. There's no doubt about that. So living at the 3D level will feel uncomfortable because so much is not working properly, it's dysfunctional, it's falling apart, and that's not a very comfortable place to live. So as far as you are able, stay above 3D. We are straddling several different dimensions at the moment, all of us to a great extent, but try and stay in those higher frequencies that I've talked about so often: joy, peace, love, compassion, gratitude, appreciation. And when you do that, you'll be further and further back from the 3D level of reality. Now, everybody is in different circumstances in different countries, of course, but as far as you are able, be on your eagle's perch, be the observer, step back. This can act as bubble wrap, if you like, for you, in that you can still see what's happening in the world, but not be sort of so personally and directly involved in it. There's a pullback when you can sustain those higher energies, because we are widening. I mean, one of the wonderful things that's happened very clearly, and people are talking about this all the time, is there's been a significant raising of energy since the new moon in Leo on the 8th of August. That was the Lion's Gate, significant shift in energy upwards. And I'm finding with my dowsing all the time that the bandwidth, the frequency for humanity is expanding all the time. And that's just amazing, because although we've always had infinite possibilities, we are more aware of them perhaps than we've ever been before. We really are able to anchor in this higher timeline and live on that. The more we can live in those higher frequency energies, and the more we can live in the present moment and sustain our attention in the present moment. So if you're anxious about the past and fretting about the future, you're going to scatter your energy. It's going to weaken your power, as it were. And of course, our energy can be so scattered at the moment because there's such a lot of information coming in at us. Social media, we're hopping about like crazy. If it's stuff we don't want to hear about, that might be quite fearful, that can scatter our energy. So as far as you are able, bring yourself back just to stare into a flower, sit on the earth, anything that will just take you back to one point of attention in a very positive frequency of love, joy, compassion, peace, etc. Because when we do that as well, not only are we more in our power, but we are helping to stabilize Gaia. When Gaia is going through her major rebirth and transformation as well, we're just in a feedback loop with Gaia. We live on her. We can't not be. So everything she is experiencing, we are too. So the more that a group of us can start to stabilize that energy into the earth, into Gaia, the more we are going to help the earth and the collective too. So first aspect of note is on the 2nd of September, Mars is opposing Neptune. 22 of Virgo for Mars, 22 of Pisces for Neptune. And at a lower level of expression, Mars in Virgo is about getting the practical details nailed down, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, getting everything just perfect. But at the lower level of expression, Neptune can confuse or diffuse, or we may lose motivation for that project. We just kind of lose the drive. But remember that everything in astrology can operate at a higher level or a lower level. The music has to play in some way. So firstly, see where 22 of Virgo falls in your chart. That's where Mars is. Mars, whenever it's moving through a house area, will energize and activate the house area, what that's connected to. Is it your career? Is it your family? Is it your social life? What is it? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can download a free birth chart from my website, pamgregory.com. Go to this link above. You can buy a 2-part video series from my store that will explain to you from zero how you can find the meaning for you from this update and every update I ever do. So, however, at the higher level expression, we can make this practical action. Practical because it's in Virgo, action because it's Mars, but with an element of the spiritual. For instance, doing yoga, doing Tai Chi, doing Qigong, doing breath work. That can be a very good expression, positive expression of this Mars-Neptune opposition. Also, a sense of practical devotion, let's say. Doing practical things that has an element of compassion with them. So for instance, if you were going on a soup run for the homeless, that would be a good expression of this opposition. But just feeling that you have a spiritual element to it, and if it's a project, can you have a spiritual context to the project to make Neptune play at the highest level, rather than at the level of demotivation and confusion. So there's always a way to use even these challenging aspects very positively. On the same day, on the 2nd, we have the moon in Cancer coming into a T-square with Eris in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn. Now, I've talked about the square between Eris and Pluto a huge amount in the last 18, 20 months. But the moon is highlighting it yet again. And remember that we've just had the 4th of 5 exact squares between Eris and Pluto. We have the 5th on the 9th of October. So this is a very activated period of that square. Remember that Eris is about warrior energy, sister of Mars. She's about being a street fighter. She is all about challenging the overreach of government. Pluto in Capricorn can be invisible, powerful government. So Eris is on the street challenging that. And so the moon is going to highlight that. And Eris does not like elitism in any form. She wants everybody to be heard. So I think we're going to see a lot of action on the streets. We've seen massive protests all over the world. You won't see these on mainstream media, of course, but look at Australia, what's happening there. Look at France, what's happening there. Some countries are really becoming ignited. I think Germany too, huge protests in the UK. Countries are becoming ignited. We are in the age of the power of the people, this strong Aquarius energy with Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius. So let's talk about the new moon. The new moon happens at 14 degrees 38 minutes of Virgo. It happens at 5:51 p.m. Pacific on the 6th and 1:51 a.m. UK time on the 7th. So as always with a new moon, it's the perfect time to plant a new seed in your life that you want to blossom into some manifestation, to set a new intention for what you want to manifest in your life. So see where 1438 of Virgo falls in your chart, and don't forget to do that. It's just the best time in the month to do that. So at this new moon, as always, we have the sun and moon together at 1438 of Virgo. And what Virgo energy is about is practical manifestation. Earth energies are about manifestation. Virgo is very practical and very detailed. So it's beautiful from that point of view because it loves to bring order from chaos. Loves to organize and be efficient, be very methodical. So it is wonderful at bringing order out of chaos. Virgo energy excels at that. It's also a wonderful cleansing and clearing energy. I think feng shui your energy, feng shui your home. So declutter, just clear the space so new fresh energy can come in. And also because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, it's a very good time to cleanse your mental clutter. Because Virgo is quite perfectionist, there's so often, and quite self-critical very often, there's so often a sort of mental chatter, mental run of, good enough, young enough, rich enough, pretty enough, whatever. So really clean that up, because we are really, really, really going to learn as we move forward how much our thoughts and our feelings produce our reality. I'm going to be talking a little more about that at the end. So cleanse your energy. And Virgo is wonderful at that. Now, what is also very positive at this new moon is we have Uranus in a pretty much exact trine to the sun and moon. Sun and moon at 14 of Virgo, Uranus at 14 of Taurus. It's within 1 minute of exactitude. So this can bring in sudden opportunities, surprises, things that come out of the blue, just sudden, an expanded consciousness where you suddenly see things from a higher point of view that reveals more possibilities that you just didn't see before. Remember, Uranus is the sky god that sees things from a higher point of view. So this can be really wonderful in terms of new opportunities, new surprises, just sudden new developments, depending on where mid-Virgo and mid-Taurus fall in your chart. What are those sudden new developments in your life that you can welcome in? A trine is much, much easier than a square or an opposition. So that's very positive. It can also bring in new technology as well of some kind. And this is a kind of reinforced by other aspects at this new moon that I'll be talking about in a few moments. But another beautiful aspect at this new moon is a very tight trine between Venus at 25 of Libra and Jupiter at 25 of Aquarius. So this is a beautiful aspect for luck and abundance. But what is even better than that is Venus is tightly conjunct Haumea, the dwarf planet Haumea, Haumea, at 27 of Libra. So Haumea, as many of you will know before, because I've talked about her before, is she's linked to the Hawaiian goddess of fertility. She's an incredibly powerful regenerative energy of fertility. She, to me, is really one of the big symbols of New Earth, because in myth she had this deep connection to nature. She was able to just to summon wild food from the land even after it had been laid waste by poor agricultural practices. So she is just a beautiful symbol for New Earth, but she operates at the quantum level. She can just manifest. She can just, with her magic stick, the Makalai, she can just manifest. So in this tight conjunction with Venus, both trine to Jupiter in Aquarius, this is about a new future vision for humanity, creating something beautiful, abundant for the future of humanity. Jupiter, very future oriented. So this is beautiful. All of these dwarf planets and deep space planets, certainly the ones I've investigated so far, really represent to us the next evolution of consciousness. They're quantum, they manifest instantly. They have a very fine, high energy and frequency to them. And there's a very good astrologer researcher called Alan Clay. He runs the Dwarf Planet University. And about Haumea, he says that she is working for the psychic unity of humanity across time and space. She's working for the psychic unity of humanity across time and space. That is beautiful. Again, this is where we're headed. So Venus has some beautiful aspects here. She also actually has quite a challenging aspect, because she is replacing where the moon, essentially the moon was in a T-square to Eris and Pluto on the 2nd. Venus is now coming into a T-square with Eris and Pluto at this new moon. So again, that's highlighting this Eris-Pluto clash of regular, ordinary people on the street up against the top-down authority of government. Things we've already outgrown, remember. This is the old world. This is the 3D tangible world. But because Venus is in Libra, she's very much calling for equality, for everybody to be heard. And of course, that is very much about the symbolism of Eris, because Eris was the one that wasn't invited to the wedding at Mount Olympus and was shunned. So her symbolism is everybody has got to be heard, nobody excluded, nobody peripheral, nobody marginalized. So this can bring up more legal cases, a huge number of legal cases happening across the world, as you may be aware of. You've got to go look for them. I think they will develop further in October, but Venus can bring this up because she's in Libra here. It's going to be very interesting indeed to watch those. Another beautiful aspect that we have, and just before I leave Eris, Mars is in a very tight quincunx to Eris, so energizing everything that Eris is about. Then we have a grand trine in air at this new moon as well, a grand trine in air. So we have Mercury at 10 of Libra, trine to Saturn at 7 of Aquarius, and they are both trine to Ceres and the North Node in Gemini at 5 and 9 degrees respectively. So grand trines can be very lucky. They can bring a great deal of positivity and optimism to the fore. And this is really about bringing ideas, Mercury, that are very fair and equal for everyone, building something for the long term, that's Saturn, for the greater good of humanity, Aquarius, and linked not only to information, which is helpful for that, but also potentially helping food supplies. Ceres, goddess of harvest and agriculture. And as you may well know, there have been some kind of breaks and dislocations in food supplies in various places because of extreme weather events and cyber attacks and various. So between Uranus in that tight trine to the Sun, Moon in Virgo, and this grand trine linking Ceres into the picture, there could be some new developments, new technology, new ideas connected to our food and food supply systems. So let's hope that that manifests. We have an opposition here between Neptune, about 22 of Pisces, and the Sun Moon at 14 of Virgo. Yes, it's wide, but it's operational. Now, as I've said, Virgo is all around the detail and getting everything categorized, and Neptune just wants to dissolve all of that, just meditate, just dissolve. Now, this can work very well, as I said earlier, in terms of a practical devotion or spiritual action. It can work very well in this way. And it's very good for selfless service. Virgo has a humility. It can be quite egoless, actually. It's quite self-depreciating almost, but it's very good at serving others, wanting to be of practical service to others in a very humble way. So this can really help in terms of selfless devotion to other people. The more we can help other people in our lives, the better not only we are going to feel, because there's a feedback loop to that, but obviously we're helping the collective. There's a purity about Virgo, there's a refinement about Virgo. And interestingly as well, if we think of the symbol for Virgo is the sheath of corn, it's very interesting, isn't it, that that's linking with the theme of Ceres that we've just been talking about as well. But Virgo's instinct very strongly is to categorize. And it's very linked to discrimination. And discrimination, of course, can be an incredibly positive thing if it is linked to discernment. How we use our intuition, because there's so much misinformation, disinformation out there. We have to be very sharp in our discernment and our discrimination of what's true and what's not. And Virgo really excels at that. However, of course, discrimination has an entirely different meaning. It can be about categorizing groups of people in society. And that leads to all kinds of division in society, which is not going to lead us to a good place. However, with this opposition to Neptune, Neptune is about divinity. It's about source. It's about oneness. And all of us being part of that oneness. All of us being drops in that divine ocean. So we have to get back to that. We have to use Virgo at its best, a selfless practical devotion, rather than division. Because Neptune and Homer are saying we have a higher calling here. We have a higher timeline to lead us to New Earth, where we are all going to be sharing and much more respectful and helpful to each other. Now, I want to talk, because I mentioned a few minutes ago that we are going to become much, much more aware of how our thoughts and our feelings create our reality. And people have been saying this for a long time, but you may find that quite hard to believe, because our 3D reality is so solid, it's so dense. This sofa is pretty solid, and this coffee table is pretty hard. And how do we change that as single human beings? How do we make that difference? But I've started to get very interested in plasma, and this may help some of you, I hope. Plasma is this incredible, it's like an electrically charged web of material that is not tangible, and it's all over the universe. It's a massive amount of the universe, and what it is, it flows and ebbs, and it's just, as I said, this electrically charged, not substance, because it's pre-matter, it's not yet tangible, but it's energy. And it forms fractal patterns, geometric patterns, and beautiful coherent energy. And the more coherent we are as people in our hearts, in our focus, in our single-pointed attention, the more coherent energy can flow around us. And the plasma forms its pre-matter blueprint, really. It forms the pre-matter template, or the pre-matter blueprint for our reality and what we as individuals and the collective create. And because it's kind of wafty still, I think it's much easier for us to think, well, yeah, I can affect that because it's not solid yet. It's kind of still wafty, so we can step into a much more empowered place with that than we can just looking at a table or a chair thinking, well, that's not going to make a change. So sensitive people are reporting that they can actually see plasma. They can see it form very coherently around people. And then if people drop their frequency, they can see it unform, just dissolve away into something less coherent. And that, as I say, is the beginning of the foundation of our daily reality and the matter and the experiences that form around us. With all the research that's been done, there is no doubt that our consciousness affects plasma. Our consciousness affects plasma. So this is one step back from matter. So I'm very excited about this because if we can start to apply our intention, our focus, hold the attention for a period of time on a high frequency emotion, we are going to be magnetizing, we are going to be accelerating the arrival of New Earth to us. And New Earth is here. People are living in it already. And some of us are kind of ducking in and out of it, but it's here. It's just a frequency. So the more we can think about the malleability of our reality that's coming into form, I think the more we step into our own power as creators. So I hope you found that interesting and exciting. I'm certainly excited about it too. There's lots online about plasma, and so much evidence, of course, from the people I often quote, Lynn McTaggart, Dr. Joe Dispenza, about how we do that, how we create our reality. So hold tight. It's going to be a bumpy road on the 3D level. Many people coming together now in like-minded groups, and that is really, really gathering momentum. So I hope you found this helpful. Enjoy the new moon in Virgo on the 6th and 7th. If you want more information about my books, my videos, just go to my website, pamgregory.com, and please be patient. The website will take a bit of time. God bless. Bye for now.